All right. What's going on, everyone?
I reached out to a wholesale supplier, and then I just got an email back from them, and they said, "Sorry, we're not accepting Amazon sellers, but if you like, we have all this free fixtures that we're trying to give away, like those big like displays, like the big steel shelves." That's the first. I haven't gotten that before. It's like, thanks, that helps.
What do you mean? What kind of fixtures?
Like the big, it says it says steel, but it's by any chance would you have any need for some steel stands that could be repurposed as a display or retail pricing sign? It's like
Interesting. Yeah.
put them in my e-commerce store.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, but that's what, we used to talk about that when we first started. It was like we were telling brands that, I mean, we were in a different industry every week.
Yeah, I mean, we were telling brands anything you could. I mean, it was like whatever was going to get that account. Like the line was so much farther, you know. Now it's about being so much more legitimate. But I mean, back then, I don't know. What do you think? It was a result of just not knowing what we're doing, or it was just like, what was that?
I was gonna say, I think that new sellers starting Amazon wholesale, they run and they do like that's what we were doing, right? Is because we didn't have all the right pieces to plug in when we first started. And I think a lot of wholesale, Amazon sellers as beginners in wholesale, they don't have the right plugins and they don't always know what to say to wholesale suppliers in order to close accounts. So they stretch it too far. And what ends up happening is it just makes you come across as, like you're kind of making something up.
Well, I mean, you kind of are. It's like, but the thing is, you don't need those types of things in order to, like, you don't need to lie, you know? And that's one of the things I feel like a lot of people don't ever get to that point of developing the skill set enough to realize that you don't need to stretch the truth in order to close the account. You know, if anything, being truthful is going to help close the account more, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think of that one situation I talk about all the time where I was on the phone with a brand and it was the brand. This was the executive decision maker at the brand, didn't own the brand, but executive decision maker. And he was trying to decide between working with us and working with another company. They came in with, I think it was like a $40,000 purchase order. We matched it, but it wasn't the purchase order that got him. It was the fact that I was extremely upfront and open about, hey, here's what we're looking to do with your Amazon presence, which needs a lot of work. And the other guys were kind of using like Amazon in like foreign marketplaces and Walmart and other platforms almost as a means of like having that as a front. But in reality, they were just doing 100% of their business on Amazon US. And he found that out. The brand owner found that out, or not the owner, the guy that I was talking with found that out. How? Because when push came to shove, when it was time for them to implement that stuff, they were like, yeah, we need to get it on Amazon US just to get things going. And then he was like, that's it. I'm going with these guys. And so, yeah, I mean,
whenever there's, and I say this all the time, right? Like, whenever there starts to be a story, I get very cautious. Like, whenever someone starts to just, the more they explain as to why something needs to happen, the more I am like immediately just my guard goes up to say that it's probably not truthful. And it's realistically, like, when we're pitching brands and we're talking to people, I mean, you could explain if the brand owner understands, which is a whole nother topic, right? Because Amazon, you got to translate a lot of stuff. But if the brand understands, the concepts that we're trying to explain and what we're trying to do, you can sum up into a couple of sentences, right? And that's it. And it's because it's straight to the point, it's truthful, and it is the best thing for the brand, which is why we teach it. And it's why we do it in our business.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, guys, switching gears here for a moment. We got the biggest shopping weekend of the year coming up, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. If you guys have any questions about how to maximize sales during the next 5 days, pop them in the chat here. We got Rabbi from YouTube. Welcome. Thanks for joining. You guys are awesome. Tommy, also back on YouTube. Happy to see you on live. Happy to see you here, Tommy. Instagram, we got a few guys joining on Instagram as well. CEO has a question asking, hi guys, what should usually be said to brand regarding how you will improve their sales and how you can contribute to them?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think a lot of times it's more of a question for us as the seller, right? Because the brand isn't usually, and I don't know, unless they're very forward, they might. The brand usually isn't saying, how are you guys going to contribute to us? How are you going to increase our sales, right? That's not what they're asking you directly. But the reality is, in order to get the account, a lot of times, or in order to, once you get the account, to keep it, we have to kind of start to understand these things in terms of how Amazon works to be able to better their brand on there. And I want to break this down to two parts, and Brad, you could definitely talk on this too, right? Is the first one is all of the tangible stuff, understanding how to go in and optimize the listing, understanding keywords, understanding all that stuff, all the granular stuff. And then there's all the conceptual stuff that you have to convey to the brand owner. Totally different, right? Going in and saying we're going to do PPC and optimize the listing means nothing to the brand owner. You have to go in and approach it from their perspective, how it's going to contribute to the overall growth of their brand using what we call Amazon, right?
Yeah, you got to speak their language. And so when you sell brands or when you're, trying to open a wholesale account and you're trying to provide value to them, you want to speak their language. You got to uncover what the challenges are, that they're having with Amazon so that you can come in and be strategic about it. Because as soon as you start talking to the things that that matter to them, at that point is when you're going to start to make progress. And this is sales, right? Like a lot of people don't think of Amazon wholesale as a sales game, but a lot of it is, you're cold calling brands and you are trying to uncover their pain points so that you can come in with solutions to their problems. But the best salespeople are listeners. And when you listen and you understand how to ask the right questions at the right times in the right way with the right tonality, that's when you start to make progress and overcome this rejection. And so Kanan is also joining on Instagram. I've seen you in here before. Welcome back, man. He's asking, how do you guys deal with price tanking on listings in Q4?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that I'm like sparking a little bit because I saw on my phone that Dylan, the co-founder of Aura, liked the live. So I wish he would jump in here and explain that question much better than either of us can, as far as pricing goes. But yeah, I mean, price tanking really, this is the way I look at it, right? You can't control what somebody else does. And so the way that you have to approach it is to say, what can I do with the amount of stock that I have and with the amount of stock that the other party has, right? So we have to kind of, we use an extension called how many to do that, to look at the stock of another seller, so that we're able to kind of make an educated decision on saying, does it make more sense for me to hold out? Does it make more sense for me to compete? How does that look? And we kind of have to make an educated decision on it. But yeah, it's unfortunate that that exists, but hopefully they sell out soon.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, one thing about Q4, guys, is like this is the time of year where prices should not be tanking, they should be soaring because demand, as we were pointing out, this is the biggest shopping weekend of the year and it's only going to continue to go crazy until Christmas time. Um that is, you want to take advantage of that time of year, right? You don't want to have to, like a lot of what's going to happen is a lot of sellers are going to reduce their prices before the busiest time. And so you might even see a lot of price reduction throughout this weekend and into, the early part of maybe December. But once we get into the first, second, and third week of December, prices are going to start to rise because the demand is going to be going crazy. Supply is going to start to dry up, and customers need their Christmas orders yesterday, right? And so, in conditions like that, that is where you want to hold your price in certain situations. And so you have to assess the specific situation, right? Sometimes you want to sell out of your inventory just maybe at a little bit of a lower price, or sell through some of it at a lower price and then hold the price until, like, as you get into time closer to Christmas. It's all an assessment of, are those products going to sell after Christmas? Am I frozen?
Yep. Yes, you are. Yeah, that's exactly it though. It's all a determination based on the stock, like making an educated decision based on how much you have available for inventory. Another thing that I actually kind of want to touch on with that though, right, is that you might start winning the buy box at a higher price because of your delivery time. So something like FBM can be very, very effective in a season like Christmas, just because you're able to get that competitive advantage when it comes to shipping time. You can also, if you want to go even further than that, you can actually set your handling time to 0 day or same day. You have the option to do same day or 1 day. And I will tell you, same day shipping is tough. I believe the cutoff is like 2 p.m., 4 p.m., something like that. It is hard, right? So if you're not set up logistically to do it, then don't do it. But it could give you a competitive advantage as well.
I think I'm back.
Perfect. Well, I just finished answering the question, so you're good.
Yeah. So Tommy on YouTube, Tommy is asking, my question is that how can we speed up our process in the brand hunting, contacting them? It gets tough to manage things when we get into the process, like it gets harder to manage all of the things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tommy, first of all, like growth is painful. you know, it's it's not, if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? And so I commend you first of all for like getting to the point at which you're starting to feel a little pressure, because the person that starts selling and doesn't do anything never feels this type of pressure. So you are already on the right path, I can tell you that. But yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts, Brad, on like how to speed up that process, and also like organization? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, when you get into the like when you start sourcing a lot of suppliers and you're contacting, 50, 100 suppliers like we recommend every week, it's going to feel like, you're in the back of the bus and the windows down, you're driving on the highway, there's papers flying everywhere, right? Like, but that's the reality of, building a business, especially in the infancy stages. It's not something where you're going to have every little detail systemized right away. I mean, we certainly did, but I always encourage, do the work now, build the systems later. Yeah, there's a balance, but if you have to choose one, put in the work, right? And so really what it comes down to is you want to organize yourself in a spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet that we have used in past videos. Basically, you just have your supplier name with the brand name and the product name. You have your link to Amazon, a column for your phone number, a column for the email, a column for the website, and that's all the supplier information, right? And so you want to organize that in a system to where you're able to track that stuff and make notes on which brands you have contacted, which brands are dead leads, which brands are warm leads. And that spreadsheet will basically serve as your CRM or customer relationship manager. And then once you start to grow and scale, and the spreadsheet becomes cumbersome for you, you can look to go into a CRM. But for most beginners, and all you need is a spreadsheet. And then, yeah, you're going to be doing the ordering. You're going to be doing you might be doing the prepping, right? You're wearing all hats in the beginning, but what you want to do is you want to identify what's sucking up your time, and then outsource that and push that task to somebody else, ideally, right? First thing should be is stickering product, labeling product. You want to get that off your plate, and then get other low value tasks off your plate, like filling out wholesale account applications, or running through price lists, lower value tasks that you can delegate.
I'm looking at the because I'm like off to the side here, right? And so I guess maybe on Instagram or something where it's vertical, because I'm off to the side. I don't know if you can see that on your end. It looks like I'm staring at you. Like it looks like I'm on one side of the screen, just like looking at you from afar. So I don't know if it looks weird for me to move over a little bit. I gotta go that way. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. Is that better? Yeah. It's staring at you. This whole I'm giving you a side eye. Cool. So yeah, Tommy, hopefully that was a good answer for you. It's honestly tough, right? Like it's something that not a lot of people talk about. Like we all talk about just like how to get the scripts down and like how to source the right criteria, but the organization is huge, right? If you don't have the organization, it's gonna be really tough for you to grow and scale. So real good question. Follow up with that. The next one here, you can click on that one. I can't click on it. How do you guys handle the competition? Meaning, how do you compete? Like, what does that look like? I think with the brand direct wholesale model, like competition is a little bit different than something like an arbitrage model, right?
Yeah, so generally you'll want to set your filters to be anywhere between 2 and 15 sellers, whether you're using Keepa, whether you're using Smart Scout. Generally 2 and 15 sellers is going to give you that range. You want at least 2 sellers on the listing, because you don't want just the brand to be on it. You don't want a private label product, and you don't want somebody that already has a brand exclusive, right? So between 2 and 15 sellers will be a solid range. Anything above 15 sellers, relatively speaking, to the, how fast the product is selling, like anything above 15, when you start getting into the range of 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 sellers, that might be actually a buy for an OA product, an online arbitrage product. Like, people who are doing online arbitrage will look at that and be like, wow, that's a good, great opportunity, get the sale, get in, get out. But that's not what we do with wholesale. Like wholesale is about consistency, right? It's not about get in and get out. It's about how do I sell this product for months, if not years to come, right? And so that's the benefit you get with wholesale. So in order to make that possible, you need to reduce the amount of sellers that are on the listing. So when we look at listings where sellers are on there for 15, 20 sellers, we are going at that with the intention of talking to the brand and educating them as to why that is a bad position for them to be in, to have all those sellers. Because with all those sellers comes price tanking. Nobody has a vested interest in the brand. Nobody really, takes initiative. And so it's really never good for a brand if they have 20 plus sellers, right? And so that's how we handle competition. If we're jumping into it, starting to open a wholesale account, that should be everybody's goal. You want to look in the range of 2 to 15. And then anything above 15, just bear in mind that you're going to need to really be able to communicate to that brand as to why their reselling scene on Amazon is out of control. And you need to be the person to try to rein that back in and get them to reduce the number of sellers, and ideally, move toward either a semi-exclusive or an exclusive agreement.
Yeah. I remember at the beginning in arbitrage days, I mean, real early on, not even looking. I don't know if I even knew how to look at how many sellers were on the listing, but it didn't matter because I was like, I'm only buying a couple units, I'm going to sell through them. I'm going to get in, I'm going to get out. Right. And it seems, I think at the beginning, like that is a better strategy because you're like, I have less risk. I don't have to be, as invested. But in reality, I think the more you do this, the more you realize that it's not such a great strategy in the sense that, yeah, you're in and you're out and you made a couple of bucks, but I want to be doing something that I can do for a long time sustainably and make a ton of money from it. And that's what brand direct wholesale is. It's not the get rich quick in 2 weeks and then you never make money again because we're in it for the long haul. And that's what brand direct wholesale gets you.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, like if you're just starting, like I remember when we were first starting, like sometimes it feels like you might be doing the wrong thing because you're looking at everybody else getting results and you're doing this wholesale model and you're not getting the results that you want right away. But if you continue, and it feels like you're going insane because you're contacting all these brands, these suppliers, and they're just rejecting you. Right. So, but you have to put your trust in the process. Like when you put your trust in the process, and you guys tune into these lives, you see, we actually do this, like many other people actually do this, where I think that's where a lot of sellers, they try it for 6 months and they fail. That's why most Amazon sellers quit within the first few months, is like they never fully invest their trust in the process. And so even my word of advice would be, even if you are not seeing results right away, look at, like, get involved in communities and look at the people around, who are actually doing the business, and use that as fuel and a reminder that this does work. It just, it's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, somebody asked the other day on the YouTube channel, and I started to answer the question or reply to it, and then I kind of stopped, right? Because the question was, what is your guys' closure rate? Right? It's a tough question to answer, right? I don't know that we've ever really innately tracked something like that, but because like it's multifaceted, right? Like you've got your accounts to just open, then you've got your exclusives, you got your semi-exclusives, all that. The one thing that I could say, which I think it will sound a lot better saying it here than saying it in the comment, right, is that it improves over time. So that's something that's changed drastically. When you do outreach now versus when you did at the beginning, I mean, how different is it?
Yeah, it takes time. I mean, you get a lot better at it as you do it over and over again, and as you close suppliers, right? You use one strategy and works with the supplier, you lean into that strategy again, right? And so, yeah, we don't have a calculated close rate. Might not be a bad metric to try to figure out, but at the end of the day, the KPIs that we measure are all inputs, and so for a beginner, your close rate brand new to wholesale, maybe 2-3%, right? If you're contacting 100 brands per week, all right, you can probably get 2 to 3 brands out of that. It's a numbers game.
Yeah, it is. But the point I'm also trying to make with it too is to say that like it gets easier. The hardest it will ever be for you to open a wholesale account is right now. If you make one call tomorrow, you're going to be one call closer. If you make 10 calls, you're going to be 10 calls, right? But like the hardest it ever is right now. The starting point or the beginning or like even us, right? We constantly grow from our wholesale calls. And it is for us at this point, we understand that if we make 1 or 2 more calls, we're going to have success potentially, right? As a beginner, that's a hard thing to do because you don't have that proof of concept yet. And so, coming from the perspective of people that do this and have done this for a long time, is to say that like there is a light on the other end of the tunnel, right? It's there. You just want to make sure that you're one of the sellers that actually keeps going so that they could see it.
Yeah. Yep. And Tommy is asking how we should manage the account suspension. Amazon is asking for invoice, and I have provided everything: invoices, authorization letters, images of those products, but Amazon isn't accepting.
It's a tough thing to deal with, account suspensions. I could speak to a couple different things. I mean, we could mention about the constant resubmission, with new information packaged differently. A lot of times with Amazon, it's just about who you get. It really is. The other thing about that, if you want to speak on it further, is hiring someone to help and assist with that process.
Yeah, I would recommend hiring a professional if you have a suspended account, for sure. They will help you get that back. You got to hire the right person, of course. But and I've provided things like invoices, letters of authorization. So number one is we have to deal with the immediate situation at hand, which is the account suspension. And like Brandon said, we need to, a lot of times it's just getting past Amazon, computers and AI and people that, are not really competent or reading anything. And so we want to creatively package some of the submissions with language that wouldn't sound normal, right? Like that's not like corporate, right? So you want to kind of get creative. The bigger picture is that I think you need to evaluate where you're sourcing your inventory from, because if you're dealing with an account suspension related to invoicing and authorization letters, that tells me that you may have not secured your supply chain. And so that's exactly what we teach and do in our business. That is going to be 8 figures this year. Is we source directly from brands. And so the beautiful part about that is you don't have to worry about looking over your shoulder, wondering when the next account suspension is going to come in. You have the invoices all in your hand before you even purchase the inventory. So you're ready to submit to Amazon. And so, Tommy, my advice would be, find a professional so that you can recover that account. And then it seems like this is what you're doing, is move into a model, like wholesale, specifically brand direct, because anybody can do wholesale and source their inventory from, suppliers. I mean, I got a text today from somebody begging to sell a product with an ASIN in the text, like from some random number, right? Like, so it's real easy to, just like, you'll get this stuff all the time. There's distributors out there that are not legit that want to sell you stuff, and always do the proper vetting, right? And so that's what's gonna definitely take you.
I want to, because I screenshotted this today because I was going to make a reel about it or something, but it's a post on the Amazon forums to go off of that says Section 3 authenticity. I source my products from Shein and Newegg, 2 legitimate websites. I didn't know they sell fake items. As a businessman, I want the best deals and profits for my Amazon business. Now my account is deactivated. They won't accept my invoices, credit card statements, or screenshots. I can't believe this. I shouldn't be punished this way, especially knowing I did nothing wrong sourcing from a legitimate website. It's my full-time job and I'm going to lose everything. My income is stopped. This is unfair, but I guess that's life. Screw Amazon, right? I'm not saying that, Tommy, you're in that position. What I am saying is that, and I would tell this person the same thing, is that we talk about preemptive, like the best way to solve a problem is to preemptively make sure it never happens in the first place. Right. And so like that is exactly what Brad said. Get this issue cleared up 100%, like figure this out first, take the problem at hand. But then the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. Right. So we want to make sure after this problem, you're preemptively attacking it from the perspective of exactly where you're sourcing the products, because you don't want to be the next one posting on the Amazon forums, right? You want to make sure that you have legitimate suppliers and legitimate inventory and are approved to sell everything. And that's the beauty of the business model.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of sellers deal with that, and it leaves them, they're left out to dry. I mean, so many sellers just end up quitting because of Amazon's hard, guys. I mean, Amazon's challenging in the sense that it's not just like Amazon used to be like 10 years ago. It used to be, anybody was selling everything, but it's not like that anymore. Their policies and strictness has changed around many things. And so you have to move with the tide, right? Where the tide is going out, you have to move with it. When it's coming in, you have to move with it, right? And so that's what we need to do in this situation with Amazon, right? We have to align ourselves with what Amazon wants. After all, we are sellers on their platform. And by sourcing your inventory directly from brands, that is exactly what you're doing. You could source your inventory from authorized distributors too. Nothing wrong with that, but they just have to be vetted and authorized.
Yeah. Buying products on Shein is crazy. It's like on another level.
Yeah.
It's like buying your inventory from wish.com, you know? John asking, is it considered a bigger brand if they have regional sales reps for the brand?
I would say probably a little bit of a bigger brand, but don't rule it out just on that basis. I would say, if there's multiple regional sales reps, like, yeah, it might be a little bit of a bigger brand, but it doesn't mean you can't close an account. It doesn't have to be a brand exclusive, right? Like, we have brands that have regional sales reps, right? Like, you don't, I would consider it, but don't rule it out on that basis. And
Yep, exactly.
let's just pop over to Instagram here. Kane is also asking, I've been working with a brand to get us 1 or 2 listings to optimize and create campaigns for them. However, they didn't provide us with access to their brand registry. How do we tackle this?
Well, I mean, that's a tough thing, right? That's, I always say, is trying to drive the car without the license. You need access to that, or you need to be able to access within their selling account as an option. So we can use a separate email, not your seller central email, and then get access within their seller account to set up campaigns and whatnot. But if you want to do it from your account, you should absolutely have brand registry, which leads me to the next question of like, is that relationship going in the right direction if they won't provide you access to the brand registry?
Yeah. Yeah. And just so you know, Kanan, the brand registry is just an invitation they can send you, which makes you a user on their brand registry, a registered agent, right? And that allows you to make the changes in Amazon's eyes, right? So it's going to make the process a lot easier for you to have that. Otherwise, you're going to have to like submit the changes to them, and then they need to make the changes, right? And I think of a brand like that we do have that is like that. But once you start to build the trust and the relationship, those things start to dissipate.
Yeah. Kanan, another thing that I want to mention there, right, is that our primary job as sellers is to educate, because there are some brand owners out there that they think that giving you access to that brand registry is like they are signing their life away,
Yeah.
right? And it is just not like, and you and I can sit here and be like, that's the dumbest thing in the world, but to them it's their reality, right? So we have to come in and position ourselves to gain the trust, to show them that, hey, that is not the reality of things. And some brand owners will never get there. Some brand owners will be ignorant forever, and that's okay, because those are brands you don't want to work with to begin with. But I'd approach it from that perspective. Try educating a little bit more and just kind of going from there. And like Brad said, you kind of need to have that in order to get things done efficiently.
Yeah, yeah. Just want to shout out Amazon Flip. John is on Instagram watching, and Rabbi Raymond is asking, as a beginner Amazon wholesaler, which product category would you recommend I focus on? And should I initially specialize in one category or diversify my product selection?
It's a great question. And I'm going to actually reference a call I had with someone who is a part of our community um, yesterday, right? And it was, hey, I am in this particular category. That's how the conversation started out. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to stay in this category. And then the conversation flipped, a couple weeks later, after learning and understanding more of the material and the stuff that we teach and whatnot, is to say, hey, I'm not going to do that anymore. I want to give myself as much opportunity as possible. And I do that through not specializing in a category as a beginner. You're cutting your chances of closing accounts by doing that. I think that you should go the other way around, right? If you are a beginner, you want to focus on everything and anything, category agnostic, and then down the line specialize, do it that way. But you need as many reps in the beginning as you can.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say limit yourself on that basis. Tommy, appreciate it. Absolutely.
Great
Kanan,
questions tonight from everybody.
and Kanan is following up saying, yes, I have a meeting with the COO and marketing manager on this. I have a proposal and meeting set up for them in December.
Nice. Yeah, let us know how it goes. Like, always feel free to DM us or tell us on the lives like how things are going, and it's awesome to see where all you guys are at and how many accounts you're closing and what that looks like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hype.
All right. Hype saying, hello guys, how is the sales going now with all the politics stuff? People slow down their purchases or people still buy as usual?
Yeah, so this is actually a question that many people will ask us who are on the outside looking in.
I was just going to say that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
people, who are not so familiar with the industry. And I'm glad you asked this question, Hype, because it draws light on the business model and what we're doing. So these external conditions of, any sort of political climate, no matter what political climate there is, no matter what economic situation there is that we are buying and selling hard goods where we are looking at a chart and seeing demand over a period of time, right? So it could be essential goods, non-essential goods, doesn't matter. But no matter what the current state of the economy is, we are selling and growing our business year over year. And we're grateful for that, right? But so many sellers are doing that in wholesale. Why is that? It's because you're able to you're looking at the proof before you actually make any sort of investment, right? And so with a lot of new business ventures, it requires you to outlay a ton of cash, so you have limited runway, you have much higher risk levels because you're investing into something that you really don't have any proof in other than overall market conditions. And so that's the nice part about Amazon Wholesale, is that you're working with brands that customers already know, like, and trust. And all you have to do is you have to come in and buy their products in wholesale, stock them, sell them on Amazon, and you have to differentiate yourself from all the other Amazon sellers out there in order to get in that position to be able to buy their products.
Yeah. And we're not saying that this is like the magic bullet business, right? Because like every business has their problems, right? But it's kind of like a laundromat. Whether there's a recession or whether there is, the golden age, people got to wash their clothes, and it's the same thing on Amazon, is that we are serving a community by doing that, right? You are providing for someone by selling them product on Amazon. And a lot of those products people need. So it's a question we get a lot from the outside, because if you've never like sold on Amazon before, I mean, I remember when we started, I was blown away with the volume that people purchased. right? I was blown away by it, from going from another platform like eBay or like Poshmark, right? And then you go to Amazon and it is a different world. So
Yeah.
Amazon, it's always going to exist, and there's always going to be room to make money on there, regardless of what's going on in the external. Focus on what you're doing. Focus on your day to day. Don't focus on the outside, because Amazon will run and you'll be able to make money from it regardless if you put in the work.
Yeah. And might I add one more thing is we're not dealing with any tariffs, right? That's a China private label importing goods problem. We're buying products from US based brands, right? So yeah, maybe we had a price increase here and there, but across the board, no impact.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so you guys, we're about a quarter of right now. If you guys have any last minute questions, we're going to be wrapping this up here. Definitely some solid questions this week. So Black Friday weekend is upon us. Yeah, definitely set coupons. Coupons are going to be good for you. If you're doing wholesale, you probably can't set coupons more than like 5, 10, maybe 15%. We were talking about that the other day, but coupons, get a repricer if you don't have it. Go Aura. It's the repricer we use. Highly recommend it. If you're not using a repricer and you have more than like 5 or 10 SKUs, you need to get
More than one SKU.
it.
If you have more than 0 SKUs in your inventory and don't have a repricer, I mean, unless they're exclusives, you will not keep up with anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So get a repricer, couponing. Just keep an eye on prices throughout the weekend. That's what we'll be doing, and yeah, I think the opportunity now is to sell on Amazon is greater than it's ever been. I'm going to keep saying that because it is, despite a lot of the negativity with, count suspensions, IP claims, all these, issues. Those are issues that come with old ways of selling on Amazon, right?
Exactly.
Again, to go back to what I was saying, roll with the tide. Go in, Amazon wants things this way. You're a seller on their platform. Move in unison with them, right? And so,
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of this stuff that we talk about, right, on these lives and whatnot, we talk a lot about the conceptual things, right? We answer questions, we talk about it conceptually. There's a big difference between conceptually understanding something and then actually understanding the implementation as to how to do it. And those are all the things that we do teach when you work with us one-on-one within our community. We teach you how to actually act on those things, how to deal with the specific situations, how to respond, how to close the accounts, and how to do all those things that are going to grow and push your business further than you ever imagined that it could. So if you want to do that, if you are feeling like you need to step it up, go to the next level in your business, or if you're just getting started into Brand Direct, then send us a message on Instagram, on Twitter at Operation AMZ, or any of the links below on the YouTube videos if that's where you're watching. And we can chat to see if you're a good fit for the community.
all right, guys, thanks for tapping in this week, and we will be live back in action next week. I hope everybody has a phenomenal Black Friday weekend, the biggest shopping weekend of the year. I've said that about 4 times, and I'm going to say it
What
one
about
more.
Thanksgiving? Haven't mentioned Thanksgiving once.
Thanksgiving. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving, and
That's the best
tune
holiday of the
in
year.
on
You get to eat.
Instagram and YouTube and Twitter. We will see you next time.
All right, guys. Peace.
So.